Hello boys and girls, it's Miss Ali from the library and her friend the little blue dragon. How are you guys today? We're very well. And why are we here? Can I hear you say, why are we here? What's that? Yes, because it's story time, time for a story. But before we can read the story, what have we got to get all fired up? Can you tell me? What is it? Let's rub our hands together and, it's imagination. Imagine a story. Imagine a book. Imagine a story. Open your eyes and let's have a look. What's that? Oh, little blue dragon's just telling me that the story we have today is a new one for him. He doesn't know it at all. And I don't know it either, so it's brand new. Okay, are you ready to see what it is? Let's have a look. Oh, it is called The Wild Girl. Oh, look. And it's by Wormell. Okay, so there's only one name there on the cover. So what should that tell us? Okay, so Chris has thought up the story about the wild girl, but he's also painted the pictures. Where do you think this story's set? Just looking at the cover. It does look like it might be set somewhere cold and icy, because look at it, snow. And there's snowing, and then this is all covered in snow as well. Look, the little dog is almost stuck in a snowdrift. Okay, so the author and illustrator, Chris Wormell, and there's this little logo, little tiny picture up there, can you see? And that is what we call the publisher's logo. So the publisher, can we remember what the publisher does? Can you think? That's right. The publisher is the one that takes the author's idea, the manuscript, and makes their original story into a book that I can go to the bookshop and buy and put in the library on the bookshelves for you to borrow. So thank you, Chris Wormell, for this lovely story. I'm sure it will be a lovely story. And thank you, Puffin, for making the book for me to be able to read this story to you today. Okay, so one more thing before we open the book. What is it I could look at? Okay, so on the back of the book there's some writing. What's that? Can you remember? That's right, it's called the blurb. So I'm going to read the blurb. And what does the blurb do? Can you tell us? That's right. Gives us a little idea of what the story's about. So it says, this is the story of a little wild girl and her small brown dog who live all alone in the middle of the wilderness. One day, as they return to their cave in the bitter winter cold, they come across some bear tracks in the snow. Ooh, I'm intrigued. Are you? What do you think? Little blue dragon's telling me to get on with the story. So, he's sitting comfortably. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. The Wild Girl. Oh, this book is so new. It has never been read aloud before. So let's have a look. Oh, lots of writing as well. This is the story of a little girl and a small brown dog who lived all alone in the wilderness. The little girl had no one to brush her hair or wash her face or tie her shoelaces like you do. So her hair was a terrible mess and her face quite grubby. She had no shoelaces to tie because she had no shoes, but her feet had tough soles that were quite used to stepping on sharp stones, so she didn't need them. The small brown dog had fleas, and I expect that the little girl did too. Oh dear. The little girl never went to school because, of course, there were no schools in the wilderness. She had to learn things for herself. The small brown dog learnt too. There were no shops, so they couldn't buy food. They had to hunt for it. Sometimes they caught trout and cooked them over a little fire of twigs. Sometimes they gathered berries and roots. They even ate insects. They lived in a cave high up on the side of a mountain. From there, they could look out and see far, far away, almost to the edge of the world. In all the wide wilderness, the little girl never once saw the smoke of another fire curling up into the sky. So she's all alone. Good job she's got her friend, the little brown dog. Sometimes she called out, but never heard a reply, save for the echo of her own voice, calling back from the far mountain tops. When the small brown dog barked, he was puzzled. There seemed to be lots of other dogs all around the mountains, but he could never see any of them. What do you think the small brown dog could hear? The little girl knew her voice, her shout was her echo, didn't she? So I suspect the dog's bark was his echo. Once, on summer nights, the little girl and the small brown dog slept out underneath the stars. Then, in the autumn, they gathered dry bracken and made a big nest at the back of the cave. It was cosy and snug, and mostly it was warm. But in the coldest weather, they often kept a fire burning through the night. One winter's day, the little girl and the small brown dog were collecting firewood when they came upon tracks in the snow. Big tracks, bare tracks, tracks heading towards the cave. They followed the tracks, and when they reached their cave, the small brown dog began to growl, but the bear had gone. Inside, they found the bracken nest was squashed flat. The small brown dog began to growl again. He could smell bear. They were certain the bear would come back. And it did. That night there was a blizzard. The wind howled and the snow began to pile up in drifts outside the cave. And as the little girl and the small brown dog watched the storm, they saw a great dark shape coming up the mountainside. Soon the shape filled the mouth of the cave. Oh, what would you say? It's like a bear coming into your bedroom. The bear would have come right in, but the little girl and the small brown dog barred the way. This was their cave, and no one could take it from them, not even a big bad bear. They would fight for it. The bear could easily have brushed them aside with a paw, but it didn't. It looked down at them with strange, sad eyes, then turned and left the cave. Oh, what do you think? Do you think they should have let him in? It's very sad. The small brown dog barked, and the little girl cried out in triumph and threw a snowball after the bad old bear as it disappeared into the stormy night. Then they heard a sound from the cave behind them, and creeping out from the darkest corner behind the squashed bracken nest came a tiny baby bear cub. The girl realised that the bear was not a bad bear after all, just a mother bear looking for her cub. She dropped her spear and ran out into the blizzard, calling after the mother bear. But she was gone, and the snow falling had covered her tracks. After a while, it stopped snowing. The wind broke up the clouds, and the moon shone down on the wide, lonely wilderness. There was no sign of the mother bear. The little girl turned and trudged back up to the cave. The snow had drifted deep, too deep for short legs, and she carried the small brown dog under one arm and the tiny cub under the other. And who should they find sitting waiting by the cave but the mother bear? See, mother bear wasn't going to give up. That winter, the cave high up on the mountainside was the snuggest, warmest place in the whole wide wilderness. Oh, look. But by spring, they all had fleas. Well, isn't that nice? The little girl decided to share the cave with the bear and the bear cub and the little brown dog. How lovely. Okay, did you enjoy that story? What's that? Little Blue Dragon enjoyed that story. Do you think the girl was kind? She was, wasn't she? And she looked after the little bear cub. And everything worked out in the end. Okay. Right, well, it's time for me to go now. So, it's goodbye from the Little Blue Dragon. And it's goodbye from Miss Sally. Bye.